Jen here, and I have a Stretch the Sketch layout for you. So this month's sketch you can see in the top left-hand corner there. It's kind of fun and loose. It has that banner with some pictures hanging down, and so there's some stamping and a little bit of splatters and mixed media and stuff like that. So it just has a lot of fun elements that you can really play around with and move around and personalize. So I'm doing my layout as a traveler's notebook layout, and in order to get some of that mixed media in there, I'm going to go ahead and do the mixed media on this white cardstock. So this is just plain white cardstock that I get at Walmart. They're the cheap, just I think it's like 50 sheets for $6.97 or something like that. And it works really great for mixed media. You can see here it doesn't warp too much as long as you're not doing a ton of extra water and moisture, but just doing this kind of smushing technique, it works really well. I don't have any gesso or anything on it because I really want these like fun, bright, vibrant colors, and I kind of want it to dry pretty quickly, absorb into the paper and dry quickly because I'm impatient. So you can see it doesn't move around as much without the gesso, but you do get these really fun blobs of intense color. So I think compared to the sketch, I'm doing a lot more mixed media than is actually in the sketch, but I just really enjoy doing this. This is kind of, I don't know, it's fun for me, and I switch it up every once in a while. Sometimes I'll do the packaging technique. Sometimes I do it on a stamp block. I like doing it with this small stamp block because I'm working in a smaller area, so I feel like this gets the intense concentration of color kind of in a smaller area, if that makes sense. Sometimes it's fun to just do it with a paintbrush, and I'm using a couple different mists. So the one that you see me working with now, that actually just came from Dollarama. It's a green color, and then I have a couple of Heidi Swapp Color Shine. One is the mint, one is the teal, and then I have a Dylusions blue one. And so I'm just letting those all kind of mix together to create this background. And it comes together pretty easy, and I don't have any of the measurements on that paper yet. I just thought I'll go ahead and smush right across the paper, and then when I go to cut it to fit the pages of my traveler's notebook, however it kind of fits in there is what I'm going to be good with. So this is the traveler's notebook, and I'm going to go ahead and let that mixed media dry, and now here we go. I didn't catch myself stamping on that paper, but there is some little words stamped all across the paper in the background, and I do have a little stamp like that just has not quite full words. They're not really legible, but I couldn't find where I've put it. I have no idea where it's gone, but since this is a spider web that the kids have been playing in, I did have this spider web stamp, and so I went ahead and kind of stamped that across the paper. And I did that before I put down my photos because I kind of like how I feel like if I had planned where my photos were going to go and then stamped afterwards, it would have looked really kind of put together and planned out. But I went ahead and just stamped it across the paper without kind of knowing where my photos are. I mean, I had a very basic idea, but I kind of like that it gives more of a haphazard look to it, like it all just kind of landed there, if that makes sense. And that's going to kind of represent those words that are across the page. Now for my photos, I actually have 6 that I wanted to get onto this layout. I find it really funny that when I do 12 by 12 layouts, I usually only want to scrap 1. I'm very much a single photo scrapbooker, sometimes 2, especially if I print 2 photos on one 4x6, then I might scrap both of them on the 12 by 12, but in general, I would much prefer to have a single photo on a 12 by 12 layout. Yet for some reason in my traveler's notebooks, I'm cramming in as many pictures as I possibly can, so go figure, right? But I just really liked all of these, and I didn't want to devote any more pages to this particular playground that we were at. But it's such a cool playground, and my kids loved it so much. This park that we go to, it's actually a market, and then they've created this park, this interactive park that you can go to, where all of the different sections of the park teach you about agriculture and animals that help when it comes to plants and agriculture and food and stuff like that. So there's when you first walk in, there's this whole big section that is these giant mushrooms that the kids can play on and crawl through, and there's little trampolines that are like buried in the ground that they can jump on to represent frogs and kind of like a swamp ecosystem. And then you move on to what's next? I think it's the giant fruit play structure. So like everything on the play structure is built as these giant fruits. So you like slide through an apple core and all that kind of stuff. And then there's a thing about bees, and there's a thing about bats, and there's the actual farm animals. You can go visit the sheep and the goats and the llamas and the alpacas and stuff, chickens, pigs, all of that. And then there's a section on, what else? There's there's a giant nest with eggs in it, and a giant chicken and a big chicken coop that you can climb up and slide down. There's a giant ant house or an ant farm. So it's 4 stories and it's all enclosed like an ant farm. And so when you go up, then you have to follow the path all the way down, or you can just slide down. That one my kids love too. And then this giant spider's web, which is absolutely amazing, especially when your kids are just a little bit older like mine and they really love to climb. This thing is also quite high, so the kids think it's amazing because they get to climb up really high, but you can see this giant spider at the top of it. And I want to scrap every picture that I have ever taken from us going there because they're just all so cool looking. So anyways, all of that to say that I crammed in the 3 pictures on my little kind of clothesline banner section, but then I also stuck 3 down at the bottom. And then because in the sketch, there's that one section that is, I think it's stamped. It kind of looks it reminds me of like a coffee cup stain up in that top left-hand corner. I didn't really have a stamp that would that would work well. I have some little kind of smaller round stamps that might work that way, but not a nice big one. So instead of doing that, I thought it would be fun to kind of play with that whole spider web feeling of the layout, and I used a whole bunch of embroidery floss. So you can see I added some black, some white, some of that kind of mint color, and some blue. And I just stuck that all around the pictures at the top and then also down at the bottom. Then I also found a black and white heart, and so I added that to my banner. I just used that black embroidery floss to create the line of the banner. And because this is a traveler's notebook and I don't want to add a whole bunch of extra dimension to it, instead of adding little clothes clips or whatever, like in the sketch, I just used a little bit of washi tape, and I had that kind of like mint and blue washi tape. I literally just happened to have that sitting beside me and realized it's perfect. It works really good. So I went ahead and added those to the tops of all of the pictures and to the heart, and that gives me that feeling of these pictures being hung on a clothesline. So then I just added a title and some journaling, both in the same places as the sketch relatively, and that's it. That's my layout for this month. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I would super appreciate if you could hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. You can leave me comments in the comment section down below and find the links to everyone else who played along this month in the description box. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, happy scrapping. Bye!